Hi everybody, it's Miss Barrett. I'm sorry that I have not been in school for the past few days. Unfortunately, I am still pretty sick, but I'm doing my best to get better quick so I can come back soon. But while I'm gone, I figure I would go ahead and continue to review for our test that's coming up. Just so you guys know, I know the test was originally planned for Tuesday, but I'm going to push it to Wednesday, which is hopefully when I will be able to return. That way I could be there when you guys take the test. I also heard that the practice test didn't really go so great on Friday or on Thursday, I'm sorry. So I think we all probably need another day of practice. So what I'm going to do for you guys today is I'm going to go through, this is your review sheet, which I will have printed for you guys today, so you guys can take it home. But it's breaking down each of our types of equations, one step, two step, and multi-step. And I'm going to do at least 2 problems of each of them now with you guys. And I will leave time for you to pause during this video to help along and answer some questions. And I hope that by the end of it, you feel a little bit better. And then what I think I'm going to do tomorrow is go over that practice quiz so you guys can get an idea of, how you did. And also, hopefully, understand, the parts that you had a hard time with. All right. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over just one-step equations. One step obviously means what it sounds like. It only takes one step, so that means there's only one operation in them. So when I say one operation, I mean that there can only be one of these. One addition, one subtraction, one multiplication, or one division. That's it. There's no 2 of them or anything like that. So the order does not matter because you only have one to pick from. So you just have to get rid of the one that you see. So obviously, if you see a plus sign, you know that this is an addition problem. If you see a minus sign, it's subtraction. With multiplication, you are not going to see this because we are in 7th grade. You're going to see a number, like let's say the number 3, and some variable next to it. Maybe it's an X, or maybe it's the letter A, or maybe it's the letter Z. It doesn't matter what letter it is, but if you see a number and a letter next to each other, that means multiplication, which you guys should all know by now. Okay, division as well. You are not going to see that. We have outgrown that. Instead, you're going to see a fraction, so something like this, x over 2, or, maybe g over 5, or k over -6. Doesn't matter, but that's division because you see the fraction bar. All right. So in order to solve it, I think you guys, for the most part, understand the idea that whatever we see, we must do the opposite of. So if we take a look at number 1 here, okay, I want you to pause the video and discuss which operation you see and which operation you need to use to get rid of it. Okay, hopefully someone was able to answer that. So here I see addition. So the opposite of addition would be to use subtraction. So instead of adding 3, which is what we see here, we're going to do the opposite, which is subtract 3. So we're going to subtract it here, but whatever we do to one side, we always know that we do it to the other side. So we're going to subtract 3 on the other side, and I like to draw my line here. Okay. Now we know that we have opposites, so opposites are going to cancel out. We're going to bring down our 2 things, which is always the x and the equal sign. And then we need an answer. So where's this answer coming from? Well, we still have this left over here, the 10 minus 3. And 10 minus 3 is 7. So now what I want you to do is I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to pause the video, and I want to see if anyone could come with the answer. So the question would be, if I got x equals 7 as my answer, how could I check if this is correct? How can I see whether or not x really is the answer 7? All right, go ahead and pause and see if someone knows the answer. Okay, hopefully someone was able to think or say that Well, if x is 7, then in this original problem here, so I'm going to write this over here, x plus 3 equals 10. If x really was 7, then why don't I just replace that x with the number 7 and then write the rest of the problem out and see if it actually works out? So if x is supposed to be 7, then that means 7 plus 3 should actually equal 10. And is that true? Is 7 plus 3 equal to 10? Yeah, it is. You get the same thing on both sides. It's a balanced equation. 10 is equal to 10. That's how you would check. You plug in. All right, I'm going to skip number 2 for now, and I'm going to circle it. And we're going to go down and try something else. Let's try number 4. All right, so what I want you to do again, I want you to pause this video, and I want you to first state what operation you see and what operation we would need to use to get rid of it. Okay, so in this problem, I see the division bar, the fraction bar, which means division. And in order to get rid of division, we would use the opposite, which is multiply. So we're going to, instead of here, x is being divided by 3. So if you want to get rid of that, then you need to multiply your x by 3. There's not a lot of room here, but I'm going to just kind of sneak it in. We use parentheses when we want to show that we're multiplying. Now our opposites, the 3's, because this is multiplication and division opposites, we're going to cross them out. And now I want you to pause and see if someone can answer the rest of it. Tell us the 2 things we bring down and what our final answer will be. Okay, so the 2 things we always bring down is the x and the equal sign. And then to get your final answer, you do the math that's on the other side. 6 times 3 is 18. And if we wanted to check our answer, we would just plug it back in. Here's the original problem. If x is supposed to be 18, then let's get rid of the x and put 18 there instead. And now let's divide. 18 divided by 3, well, that's 6. So this worked out. It's the same answer. Okay, I'm going to circle 3, and we're going to skip that one and keep going. All right, so these are 4 examples of one-step equations. You will only have one operation in it. Either addition, here we see subtraction, here I see multiplication. We got those best friends going on. And over here we had division. That's it. All right, now we're going to move on to a 2-step equation. So same idea, but this time instead of one operation, it's a 2-step, so there's going to be 2 operations in them. You will either have addition or subtraction. You cannot have both. It's one or the other. And then you will also have either multiplication or division. You cannot have both. Okay? Now the biggest number 1 rule is, what do you do first? You only have one option, and I wrote it right here for you. You can only look for addition or subtraction first. This is the biggest thing that you need to remember. So as soon as you see a plus sign or as soon as you see a minus sign, you need to think to yourself, okay, I got to get rid of that first. Then once that's gone, then you can work on your multiplication or division. So, and again, it's only one or the other. Excuse me. I'm going to start with a harder one. So let's do number 2. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we ask ourselves, all right, is there any addition or subtraction in this problem? So you're either looking for a plus sign or a minus sign. Now, I know some of you get confused and you think, oh, wait, these look the same. Is this minus? Is this negative? Well, either way, it doesn't matter because I don't see a plus sign anywhere. And if there's no plus sign, my only option is it's got to be subtraction. So what is it that I'm subtracting from the x? Is this negative 4 being subtracted from the x? No, they're next to each other. That doesn't make any sense. Right here it says x minus 2. That's what's being subtracted. So that's what we're going to get rid of. All right, so I want you to pause here. I want you to tell us how you're going to get rid of that minus 2. And just be specific. Say, what do we do on one side? And also, what do we bring down after the fact? Okay, so to get rid of that subtraction, that minus 2, you're going to do the opposite, which is to add 2. So I'm hoping at least everyone can do this first step. This is the most important. And you need to then say to yourself, okay, I just did something to one side. That means I must do it to the other side. There's never, ever a time where you should be doing something to this side and you're not repeating it on the other side. Now we're going to cancel it out. Those are opposites, and we bring two things down, but this time x is not alone because it's a two-step equation. So don't just say x in the equal sign. It's not just x, it's negative 4x, and then the equal sign. And then you must do the math on this side to get the answer. 14 plus 2, 16. So that was step 1. So step 1 is done. That was the addition or subtraction, and we saw subtraction. Now we need to move on to step 2, which is multiplication or division. One or the other. You only have one choice. So you're going to look and ask yourself, well, what do I see? Do I see a fraction bar here? No, can't be division. That must be multiplication. So to get rid of multiplication, we do the opposite, which is division. So instead of multiplying the x by negative 4, which we already have there, we're going to divide it by negative 4. You draw the division bar. And whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. Here we have our opposites, so those are going to cancel out. We bring down our two things. X is finally alone. That's what we wanted this whole time. And we finish it off by saying, what is 16 divided by negative 4, which is negative 4. And that's our answer. And again, you can check, but to save us time, I'm not going to check right now. But you would just take your answer and plug it back in for that x and see if it works out. See if the answer actually does equal to 14. If it does, it's right. If it doesn't, it's wrong, but it's right. Okay. I'm going to start number 4 because that one's a little bit tricky. I think you guys can handle 1 and 3, but let's take a look at number 4. Okay. So before I say anything, this is where I want you guys to start taking over a little bit. So please pause this video, and I want you to first tell us the very first step of this problem. So anyone can raise their hand and participate here. So I want to see who can figure out how to start this problem without me prompting. All right, so pause. Okay. So hopefully someone was able to say, well, addition or subtraction comes first, and there is subtraction here. So we're going to get rid of it by doing the opposite, which is adding. So we're going to add this 2 on both sides and draw a line. We're going to look at our opposites here, and we're going to say those can get canceled out. And now we're going to bring our two things down, which is the x, which has the 2 over 3 next to it. So can't leave that behind, and the equal sign. And then we do whatever we see on the other side to get the right side. So 9 plus 2 is 11. Now we need to ask ourselves, well, I did step 1. What's step 2? Is there multiplication or division? And this is where people are going to get confused. I know that there is a fraction bar here, but that fraction is next to the x. And remember what we said about a number being next to a letter? So we could pretend that this was just a 4x, 5x, 10x. Doesn't matter if it's a decimal. It doesn't matter if it's a fraction. It doesn't matter if it's a whole number. They're next to each other. That automatically makes it multiplication. If you saw this, this is division because the x is being divided by 3. It's on top of the fraction bar. Here, the x is next to it. It's different. So what you're going to do here is you're going to divide to the opposite. Divide by 2 over 3. It's going to look a little crazy, but that's what our calculator is for. So our opposites are going to cancel out. We're going to bring down x and the equal sign. And now this is where I want everyone to use their calculator. So I want you to pause, but I'm going to tell you first what you're going to do. In your calculator, I'm going to write it on the side, and then you can pause the video. You're going to type in 11. You're going to click the division button. You're going to click on n over d. And you're going to put a 2 on top and a 3 on the bottom. And then click enter. So please pause here and do that. Okay, so if we did this, I don't have my calculator. I'm going to do it the longer way. Just give Give me a second. So what is that? 33 over 2 should be our answer. Hopefully you got that. You may have gotten a mixed number. If you got a mixed number, that's completely fine. Both answers are acceptable. Okay, some of you may have gotten 33 over 2. Some of you may not. But if you got like a big number in front and then a fraction next to it, it's fine. Both answers are fine. Okay, so that's how you would do that one. So that's one of the harder ones. All right, let's now move on to the last topic, last type of equation, which is multi-step. So with multi-step, it just means that we must follow our 3 letters. I hope you guys remember the mnemonic device that we use for this. It's do, cats, meow. Now, you can memorize that, but if you don't actually know what it stands for, it's no use. So we need to know what that D stands for, that C stands for, and that M stands for. I want you to pause the video, and I want to see if anyone can tell us what all 3 letters stand for in math. Okay, so the D stands for distribute, the C stands for combine, and the M stands for move. Distribute, combine, and move. I'm just going to write that here because this is your review sheet. Okay, meaning you must follow this order in order to solve a multi-step. Now, it doesn't mean every problem is going to have distributing and combining, but you still just have to go through that mental check anyway. So let's take a look at, I will do 2 and 4 with you guys. I'm doing the harder ones. Okay, so what I would do here is I would write DCM on the side and I would do a mental check. First, is there any distributing? Well, there's only distributing if we see parentheses, but I'm looking at this problem. Hopefully you all know what parentheses look like. It's these lines. I don't see that in this problem. So we can skip distributing and check that off. Now we're going to move to combining. Is there any like terms, any terms that have the same variable? So I'm looking and I'm like, wait, 4 has an R and -3 has an R. So I should be able to combine them, and we can. So you're going to combine 4 plus -3, which is 1, or just R, because we know 1 R. We don't need to write the 1. It's just like a hidden 1. You don't need it there. It's a secret. All right, then we bring everything down. So I'm going to bring down the +6 and bring down the 15. So C checks off. Now we move. Now we solve it. This one was an easy one. This is a one-step equation now. All there is one operation. It's a plus sign. So in order to get rid of that +6, you're going to subtract 6 on both sides. Draw your line. Here are your opposites. They're going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down the R and the equal sign. And we're going to do 15 minus 6, which is 9. That comes from here, 15 minus 6. And that's your answer. So R equals 9. And you could check this one as well. It's just this time there's 2 places where R is. So you'd have to put 9 here, and you would have to put 9 there. And you would do all this math and see if it actually equals 15. All right. Last one I'm going to do with you guys is going to be number 4. I'm going to give you the hard one. Okay. So over here, we're going to do D, C, M. We're going to first ask ourselves, is there anything to distribute? Is there any parentheses? What I want you guys to do is pause this video, and I want someone to tell us who the giver is and who the giver is going to the first time and the second time. So please pause and answer that question. All right. Hopefully someone was able to say that the giver was -3. Not 3, -3. We be specific in this class. And our giver is going to go to x first. And we multiply when we give. So -3 times x is -3x. Then our giver is going to go to our friend 2 here. And we're going to multiply again. And -3 times 2 is -6. So D is done. We distributed. Now we're going to bring everything down. The -5x and the equals 10. Now we're going to combine. We're going to see, is there any like terms? And now when we move on, we're not working on this step anymore. This step is done. We're on this step now. You keep moving on. You don't look back. All right, now you combine. So we look, are there any terms of the same variable? I see -3x and I see negative 5x. So we're going to add those two numbers. Negative 3 plus, because combined means add, negative 3 plus negative 5. So that is negative 8x. And then we're going to bring down whatever's left, the minus 6 and the equals 10. So you see, we move on. We say goodbye to that step. We don't look at it anymore. We're not going to say, okay, now what do I do in this step up here? No, we're done with that step. We moved on. So I'm going to cross out C. C is done. We combined. And now we're going to move, which means solve. This has become a two-step equation. The last one ended up in a one-step equation. So this one will take 2 steps. So this is where you do the same mental check. Is there any adding or subtracting? I see subtracting, so I'm going to get rid of it by adding 6 on both sides. Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay, we can cross out those opposites. Bring down our two things, which is the negative 8x and the equal sign. And then you're going to add whatever's over here. 10 plus 6 is 16. And then I want you to pause, and I want someone to tell us how to finish this problem and what the final answer would be. So please pause. All right. So hopefully someone was able to say, oh, I see multiplication here. They're next to each other. So I'm going to get rid of it by dividing the negative 8 on both sides. The negative 8s are going to cancel, and I'm going to bring down x and the equal sign. And 16 divided by negative 8 is negative 2. And that's the final answer. Okay, so what is going to happen now is you guys have a couple of problems for homework. This sheet, this exact same sheet, is being sent or handed out to you. It's going to go into your folder. Every problem that I circled, there's 6 altogether, you are going to complete for homework. Okay? I'm going to be going over it either tomorrow or Wednesday. And if I'm back Wednesday, I expect to see it completed. So you might have 2 days to do it. I know it's a lot of problems, but this is what you need to do if you're going to do well on the test on Wednesday. We cannot continue to prompt you guys through every problem, so we really need to make sure that we're working on our studying skills and our practice skills. Homework is meant to be practice. You do it. If you have a hard time, you come in the next day and you ask where you went wrong and tell us what you need help with. All right. Well, I miss you guys, and I hope you're all doing well, and I'm excited to see you soon, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.